How do we know what is the right thing to do? How do we understand what God wants of us? As inheritors of a rich textual tradition, one that contains laws and maxims and wisdom and stories, how might this tradition help us to know the answers? This is perhaps the most fundamental question of Jewish life. As Jews, we believe that how we behave matters. But how do we know how to behave? As Reformed Jews, how do we approach this question? What do we believe? Firstly, that as Jews, our texts are a rich source of wisdom and guidance. They are the way in which our ancestors expressed their encounter with the divine, how they explored big questions about how they came to be and their role in the world. So it would be wasteful, impoverishing, not to be in deep relationship with this extraordinary gift. So Reformed Jews are scholars. We read and study Bible, Talmud, Midrash. We seek to read them with understanding hearts to discover their insights, and with open ears to hear their many diverse voices. And yet, we also recognize that they are, as all texts are, a product of their time. And so they will inevitably contain more difficult ideas, will also express sentiments that are far from sacred. Laws that might once have resonated as powerful expressions of important ideas might now be either devoid of meaning, or worse, they may have become sources of conflict and pain, sources of exclusion, things which can never be an expression of divine will. And so we cannot simply read our texts as rulebooks. Ours is not a Judaism that understands our tradition as merely rules to be kept, but as ideas to be grappled with, ideas that shape us and shape our place in the world. And as we discover more about the world, we can also discover new insights in our tradition and can hear the voices in our texts that once may have been ignored. Of course, none of this is straightforward. How do we know what is eternal and what is not? How do we discern that which is sacred from that which can no longer bear that description? If we are inheritors of a tradition containing multiple voices, how do we know which ones to listen to? And how do we do all of this as a community with shared behaviors and shared values? These are good and difficult questions. But of course it is not straightforward. If we take our religious lives seriously, it cannot possibly be so. Because revelation is not a passive act. We are active partners in a conversation spanning thousands of years, a conversation between us and our ancestors, between us and God. Just as generations before us valued innovation, just as they saw new things in ancient texts, just as they were radical creators of new religious worlds, so must we be. We struggle, we discuss, we disagree, we discover new ideas, we disagree some more, because to be Jewish is not to be simply receivers, but to live within this sacred conversation, this sacred struggle with our texts and each other. Reformed Judaism is a Judaism that is rich and beautiful, immersed in our tradition, a Judaism of scholarship and struggle, of sacred conversation. It is a Judaism that honors the incredible nature of our literary inheritance, and a Judaism that honors the intellect and the integrity of those who live in relationship with it.